And good morning to one and all. Thank you very much for tuning in today. We're here with Ms. Natasha Carlow, and of course, we are looking today at success through struggles. So I'm not going to do too much introductions for Natasha because I want you to introduce yourself. So tell us, who is Natasha Carlow?
So first, I just want to say good night to all my women helping women entrepreneur sisters. Thank you for having me, Rach.
You're
I am
welcome.
happy to be here. So I am Natasha Carlow. By profession, I am an itinerant counselor, so I do youth and child guidance and therapy.
Okay.
And I'm a lecturer, an author, blogger, writer, what have you. But most importantly, I am a mother and a wife and a sister and a friend, and I'm discovering so many more things that could be added to that definition. So that's who I am in a nutshell.
All right, awesome. So Natasha Carlow is a lot of things. You have a lot of hats.
A lot of things. Yes.
That's great. So for those of you that don't know, Natasha Carlow wrote a book, Happy Tears and Rainbow Babies. This was your first publication, yes?
It was.
Oh,
So
and
I
she
have
has the book.
it right here.
And
So
Happy
it
Tears.
was my first book.
Mm-hmm.
It was my first book. It is a children's book.
Right.
But really it's a book written for the entire family. And I don't want to jump ahead of any
Go
questions that
ahead, go
you may
ahead.
have,
Mm-hmm.
but just to give you a very quick idea of what my book is about, I wrote Happy Tears and Rainbow Babies for my children. I wanted to explain to them our family story. I wanted to explain to them in a gentle, child-friendly, and digestible way what is a miscarriage, what is a rainbow baby. And for those of you who don't know, a rainbow baby is a baby who was born after miscarriage or pregnancy loss or child loss of any kind. So my children are rainbow babies, and I became familiar with the term while I was pregnant with my daughter. And I just thought it was such a beautiful concept, and I just thought that it really encapsulated how I felt about being pregnant with my daughter. So when I had my two children, I was really looking for a way. It was really weighing on my heart. How do I explain our family story? Because I knew I wanted to tell my living children the story of how our family came to be. It was never about hiding the fact that we had miscarriages before they were born, or hiding the fact that I had different health challenges. I wanted to explain it to them and to share it with them. And Happy Tears and Rainbow Babies was my attempt to do that. Just That's how it started. I just wanted to write something for my kids to read one day. And that idea just grew and grew. I had no plan to publish the book. I had no plan to show it to anybody other than my children. But
Right.
I think God had a different idea for this book.
Okay, well that's awesome. Like because I thought that maybe you would have started because you wanted to do the publication and that was the inspiration behind it. Yeah.
No,
So
this book, and and in fact, it was one of the reasons why this book was so hard for me to let go of, is because I didn't plan for anybody else to read it. This was for me and my children,
right.
but I showed it to my husband, and he was like, "Oh, you no, we need to do something with this."
Yeah.
And it was the first time I had actually heard that publicating the book, publishing the book, sorry, I didn't think about it before he said it. And
Mhm.
he, he put his money where his mouth was, and he supported us through the process. And, I'm really, really grateful that he did, because I'm very proud of the book. I'm proud of the way the book is impacting people in our community.
Right. And that's something I wanted to ask about as well. Like, what has been the response from people when they read this book with their children, with mothers who may have gone through miscarriages? What has been the response?
Well, I'll answer that in two parts, right?
Mhm.
So, on the one hand, when you publish a book, you want the book to receive accolades. You
Right.
want the book to receive awards, and to be mentioned. And thankfully, thankfully, and I know that this is not by my power, but by God's grace, working in
Mhm.
our book and reaching out to our community, the book has done really, really well. We have to date won I think 6 or 7 major awards for
Wow.
the book in child literature. And we've gotten a lot of mentions and reviews, and that has been wonderful. So, on that regard, I'm very, very happy with the way people are receiving the book. But the second part of it has nothing to do with the awards. The
Right.
second part of it has to do with the mothers who search me up on Instagram and message and say, listen, thank you for saying what I couldn't say.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for giving me a book that I can read with my children or my grandchildren. I love it when the grannies message. You know, even more than when the parents message, I love it when the grannies message, you know. Thank you for sharing your story. So now I feel safe to share my story. And to me, oh, that means so much more. I mean, even if I never make $1 from the book, that is why I wrote the book. I wrote the book because I wanted my children to understand. And if somebody on the other side of the world is saying,
Mm-hmm.
I now have something that my children can read, I can read with my children and we can discuss this process, then that's all worth it.
Wow. Well, that's really, really awesome. Congratulations on all the awards that your book will have gotten, and
Thank
also
you.
on the fact that it really has touched the lives of not just the women who would have experienced the miscarriages, but their entire families as well. Right. So I know you will have had your experiences, and for those that don't know, Natasha and I know each other from outside of the women's group,
Long
a long
time.
time.
Long
um,
time.
yeah, and I kind of would have gotten some insights into the experiences with the miscarriages that you would have gone through. How did this book, writing this book and going through the publication, help you with your healing in that sense? Because I know you would have spoken about the journey to where you are now.
Hmm. Okay, so I wanna maybe answer that by firstly saying that at the time that we experienced or had our miscarriages, we were we had gotten there were organizations in Trinidad that were doing fantastic work in the field of women's health and helping women. And I want to mention those organizations very, very quickly.
Sure.
First, I want to say an incredible thank you to the Mama Toto Birth and Resource Center. They have a
Mhm.
fantastic program called Babies Who Live Only in Our Hearts. And if not for us having to go to them and getting the help that we need and getting the support that we need, I think that one, I would not have had the words to put,
Mhm.
I would not have had the presence of mind to put these words into play. And another organization called Missing Solace, who she is a mother who lost her daughter and she went hard to work, spreading awareness and helping families experiencing miscarriage. So if it were not for these organizations and these people who have been working in the field, even before I have, I
Mhm.
don't think our story would have been as easily navigatable, if that's even a word. Is navigatable a word?
It is
We're gonna
now.
make it a word
Your
today.
author,
It's
so
gonna be
you
a
can
word
think of
today,
words.
right? Right? I creative license. I can do that.
Yeah, yeah.
Right? So I don't think our story would have been as easy to navigate as it was. So I really want to say thank you to those organizations. And for me, you know, I remember being very, very sure that I could use all my training as a counselor
Mhm.
and wrap this up neatly. You know, I could talk to myself and I can get this done. You know, it's
Mhm.
okay. I know what to say. I know what to do. And I remember just feeling this incredible sense of loss and just not even understanding how do I move forward. And even while pregnant with my daughter, and this is why pregnancy after loss is such an interesting experience. So even after being pregnant with my daughter, there was still this incredible sense of loss. And for the first time, I had to realize that you can grieve and be happy and grateful at the same time.
Mhm.
So having all of those experiences and having a lot of time just because I had to be on bed rest for both my pregnancy and having just that time to pray and to talk to God and to ask Him to, you know, teach me show me what you wanted me to learn from this experience. because at
Mhm.
the time I didn't know anybody personally who had a miscarriage.
Right.
So my mother has 8 children and never once had a miscarriage,
Right.
so I didn't know anybody. And I just really spent time talking to God, saying, listen, what am I supposed to do with this? And of course, at the time, the answer didn't come as, well, write a book, publish it, and meet,
Mhm.
influence other families. That wasn't the answer. It was, trust me that regardless of where you are right now, that I have a plan for you. I have a plan for your family. And if you follow any of my writing, you would know that that was a difficult thing for me to do. My pregnancies after loss were filled with anxiety and nervousness and really, really praying that God would calm my spirit. But the message was always very, very clear. Trust me, even in this circumstance.
Wow.
So it was about me learning to trust God, and prior to that, I had a very immature idea of who God was, that
Mhm.
it was his job to keep me safe and make me happy and bless me. I'm blessed and highly favored. And,
Mhm.
so this was really the first disruption that I had experienced in that way. And coming out of that, I've gotten a deeper understanding of who God is,
Mhm.
certainly who I am, right? And how much control I actually have over my life. So happy tears and rainbow babies. Again, just like I said earlier, it was not by my super intellect or by my super talent as a writer, but it was that this was something that God had predestined,
Mhm.
you know, for my family and for the families who read the book and
Wow. Okay.
hopefully get a
So,
start, get courage out of it.
so that brings a new meaning to success through struggles, because yeah,
Right?
it wasn't just that you were able to have a business, but you were able to grow spiritually and grow as a person. Yeah. So you're able to experience a different type of success that, as business owners, we may not necessarily be thinking about. But we are holistic
Right.
beings,
Very true.
and success
Very
comes in
true.
many different forms. You would have
Mm-hmm.
mentioned that you didn't know anyone who had experienced a miscarriage before. How has
Right.
it been for other mothers to read the book and realize, oh my gosh, there's other persons in the world? Because oftentimes when we go through circumstances, we don't think that anybody else is going through it, right?
Absolutely. And especially as business owners, it's such a lonely road as
Yes.
entrepreneurs. It's a very, very lonely road. So understanding that even if it's not where you expect it, because it may not be in Trinidad, you
Right.
know, I really thought that because this was a local book that trainees would flood to it. But
Mm-hmm.
that's not how it worked out. Most of my sales come from outside of Trinidad and people in other places.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that, so one of the things that I want to say as well is that specifically as it relates to miscarriage, even though I felt extremely alone and I didn't know anybody, miscarriages are actually pretty common. The
Right.
statistics are different depending on where, but it's generally about 1 in 4 pregnancies end in a miscarriage. It could actually be a lot higher, but that is the accepted statistic.
Okay.
So if you are saying 1 in 4 women are having miscarriage, that's a huge community.
Mm-hmm.
But it also means that it's a community that's silent.
Right.
People aren't talking about it and people aren't sharing about it. That's why I didn't know.
Right.
But now that I talk about it so openly, I have people who are in my life who say, that happened to me too. It
Mm-hmm.
happened to me too. So one of the things that coming out of my experiences I have done is that recognizing that there's such a need and knowing that there are different ways to give back, I now work with Mama Tutu to
Okay.
facilitate the support group. So I am one of the facilitators of the support group. So we really bring the families, bring the women together, and we create support and we help them, navigate immediate challenges, tending to your physical health, tending to your emotional health, your spiritual health, what
Mm-hmm.
have you. So um to to answer your question, which I don't think I did, I went all and on and on. But to answer your question, I think that for the women who are reading the book and like realizing how common it is and how prevalent it is, and that this is the type of thing that is no respecter of age, status, location, what have you. I think it creates a community, and the grief and loss community, or the lost mama community, as we like to call ourselves,
Right.
it is one of the most beautiful communities that I've ever had the chance to be a part of. And the way they rush to the assistance of any mother experiencing loss is really a beautiful thing. And, I think my main focus is not to be the only book discussing Happy Tears and Rainbow Babies. I want every person experiencing it to write their book and to tell their story, and to make miscarriage and pregnancy loss and child loss and infant death and infant mortality as natural and normal as any other type of death. Because if it isn't natural, if it isn't normal, then there's stigma attached.
Right.
And the only thing stigma does is keep you separated and keep you hidden. And that's what we're trying to fight. That's why we write, that's why we tell our stories. And that concludes my lecture for today.
That's
I
a
know
very
I went off on a bit of a tangent, so forgive me, ladies. It's my new passion. It's
yes.
what I am passionate about.
Definitely. And I really think that that point that you made is really important, because I think when we're talking primarily to entrepreneurs, I'm sure there are other persons who would be looking at this video, and we don't realize the impact that our story may have on others when we begin to tell it. But that idea of feeling alone, and that idea of feeling that you don't have anybody to turn to, that can be really debilitating. So the reason why I wanted to do this success through struggles was really to show other persons that, look, this story exists, and if you are going through this, then you can have success through your struggles as well. So I really appreciate the answers that you would have given. Another thing that you pointed out is that you work with the organization that originally helped you, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that brings me into my next question. What's next for Natasha? What's next for Happy Tears and Rainbow Babies, or your organization? Where are you going from here?
So what next is we hope to register as a nonprofit,
Right.
and I really hope to get back into the community. I've enjoyed the cushy title of being an award-winning author. I've enjoyed it, but that's not where the work is.
Right.
The work is with the mothers who are still today, because I remember my experience in the hospital after loss, still being put into hospital beds right next to a mother who's nursing her newborn.
Okay.
It is in families where you have a daughter who had a miscarriage and never even knew that her mother and her grandmother had miscarriages as well. So there's a family history that nobody's talking about. And if nobody's talking about it, how do you protect yourself?
Right.
So it's about destigmatizing miscarriage. And yes, it's a very, very private thing. It's a very, very personal thing. I know all the feelings that could be attached to it, even the shame and the guilt and the fear. I understand all the feelings that can be attached to it. But we have to break through that, because one thing I do not want is for my daughter to experience what I have experienced because of ignorance.
Right.
So there are things that I learned through my miscarriages about health and my body and women's reproductive systems and what happens. And it is my duty to ensure that my daughter understands her body, understands her reproductive health, and understands, even her emotional and her mental health. So the only way I can ensure that she does that is if I share with her, and I share my story with her so she understands. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
So that's where the work is, and that's what I want to do. That's where I want to take this. I want to just help people understand that yes, it's a difficult process. but it is a process that can be managed and it can be reduced. We do not have to lose that many babies. Miscarriages don't have to happen that often. If we
Okay.
understand our bodies, if we understand our rights as women and our reproductive health, if we know to ask the right questions when we go to
Mm,
the clinic, if we know to ask our doctors to demand that doctors do tests that they will tell you it's unnecessary, but if you think that it's necessary, then you should speak up. You
right.
need to speak up for your health and your unborn baby. And of course, that is not to say that we understand that life and death is in the hands of God. So we're not trying to take that away. We know that, life and death belongs to God. But if there are things that we can do that will put us in a more comfortable headspace,
Mm.
then we need to do it. And we need to teach women to do it.
Absolutely. Okay, so the future of your business is empowering the next generation, empowering those that are now going through
Absolutely.
those struggles, and really making this community something that is more accessible to women, right?
Yes, it's
Which
more
is really,
accessible to
really,
women.
really, really good. But right now, you already have your book out, Happy Tears and Rainbow Babies, and we just want to ask you, where could we get this book, either locally or internationally?
So locally, Happy Tears and Rainbow Babies is available through me. You can contact me here on Facebook or at Rainbow Babies on Facebook,
Right.
or my author page, Natasha Carlow, author on Facebook. Also, it's available at RIK nationwide. It's available at Book Things TT on Instagram, and Preggy Plus on Facebook and Instagram. Internationally, the book is available at Amazon.com, BarnesandNobles.com, and BlackBabyBooks.com.
Okay. All right. So I hope we got that. So if you know someone that needs this book, if you need it for yourself, Happy Tears and Rainbow Babies, I think it's a really, really good step that Natasha has taken in sharing her story. And it really, really encapsulates the success through struggles, right? And I think that, instead of suffering in silence, a lot of us do have a story to tell. And that story could also help us with our healing and help persons as well out there who may feel like they're alone and recognize, I'm not alone. There are other persons there who may be going through the same thing as me. So, any
Yeah.
closing words, Natasha?
I think that one of our ladies in the group posted this week. I think it was Tip Tuesday, and she was talking about, if you see a need, fill it.
Right.
If there's something you want or something you're looking for and you're not finding it, fill the need.
Mm-hmm.
So not just, I want to echo those sentiments, not just to the lost community and lost mamas, but to all the women in our group and the women who might be seeing it. Business is changing,
Mm-hmm.
and it's not just about product and sales anymore. It's about the total story and the total person. And for a lot of us, we may not have a product as in soaps or perfumes to sell, but we have a story that we can sell and a story that we can use to create social entrepreneurship and to enact change in our community. So just like you, I was afraid too. I was scared. I didn't, it was personal and it was difficult, but taking that leap, being brave enough to share your story, I would imagine it could take you so much further than I could ever imagine for myself or for you. So I really want to encourage us to share our stories and to understand that our stories are important as well.
Yes.
So that's my closing words.
Okay, great. Thanks so very much, Natasha, for coming on today.
Thank you for
And
having me.
you're welcome. And I just want to remind everyone, Happy Tears and Rainbow Babies is available locally, and you can get it internationally as well. And we will put some links to some of the places that you can purchase. So look out for those links in the comments. Thanks again. Have a good night, guys.
Hi everyone.
Bye.